Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 420. Andrew here. And just a reminder, I am no longer on Twitter. I mean, my Twitter account is still there, and if you want to contact me, you can do it through Twitter. I still get notifications. But I am over at Bluesky full-time now. I'm not cross-posting all of my uh, dumb crap that floats through my head on a daily basis. You'll find all that silly nonsense on Bluesky. So, and it's really nice because now I don't have to worry about cross-posting, which was extra effort, and I'm very lazy. And I don't have to worry about Twitter constantly screwing things up, like refusing to embed links properly. So, huzzah! There's still time to wear the Extra Life Marathon chain necklace. Hey, Zeronautic. Yeah, I talked to Raph about that, and she's pretty tickled that everyone seems to really like that silver chain so much. Um, I thought that would be just one weird who cares kind of a incentive, but I bought it for that one video. And I was like, well, it'd be a shame to, buy it and not use it for anything else. I'm like, aha, donation incentive no one will care about. But it was pretty funny having that thing bounce around and make noise while I was doing the fitness boxing. So we'll think about bringing that back next year, and hopefully Kelly will be here. That was a big old bummer. Oh, and I did forget one of the probably the least interesting food item of the night. Last year for the nostalgic foods, um, we did Triscuits with cheese. So we, little strips of cheese, put them on the Triscuit crackers, bake them in the oven, and you have melted cheese on a wheat cracker. And they were actually, those were one of the ones that really held up well. So this year we were thinking, aha, pita chips and hummus. Now, I was thinking, I could homemade, but making pita chips would be a pain in the ass. My kitchen's really not equipped for that. And as far as hummus goes, I'd need a Cuisinart, and I don't have one. I don't think a blender would cut it. So I bought a bag of pita chips, and I bought a little thing of hummus, and I completely forgot about it. And I had extras of the mac and cheese that I made because I was hungry. I could have got the damn pita chips and hummus, but I totally forgot about it. That's why it's nice to have someone there with you. But yes, the Extra Life charity event this year was one heck of a success. We blew through the $4,000 goal and raised, I think, 48 something. Really what happened was someone came in the last minute with a huge donation, which pushed us over 4,000, which actually triggered a bunch of incentives that I'd set up. So I said if we raised $3,000, I would match the largest donation up to 500. Well, someone came in, we had like 3,600 with half an hour to go, and she came in with 500, which meant that I was upping my donation another $200. But it also meant that because we hit our $4,000 goal, I dumped the contents of my Patreon account to the charity event, and that was about $400 right there. So as soon as we hit $4,000, ended up being 41 something. Immediately another 600 got donated. So yeah, wonderful year. Big old bummer that Kelly couldn't be here, but she did hang out in the chat most of the entire night, and I know a lot of you were there a bunch too. So I hope you had a good time. I certainly did. And after the stream, it takes me a while to wind down and actually go to bed or go to sleep. I do some like finishing work, like I put my living room back together. I didn't like go out onto the porch and get you can see the weight set behind me. That was out on my porch. I didn't drag that whole thing back in. But I did put my furniture back, put stuff away, finally did the dishes. That's another great thing about Kelly being here is she can do the dishes progressively through the night, because I think I went through all my dishes. um, and writing out thank yous and telling Cheryl that she won the raffle and doing all that fun stuff. And then before I went to sleep, played Monster Hunter Wilds to do my dailies before they refreshed at 5 o'clock. And then I then I went to sleep for about 3.5, 4 hours. Got up at about 7 in the evening, had dinner, and then stayed up till midnight, and then went to bed. And I took Monday off of work. Back on the schedule. I am exhausted, but it's been a very, very long and stressful week at work, which I'll get to in a moment. Zeronautic says, your extra live stream is always one of my favorite days of the year. Oh, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you. It's incredibly fun, but it's also hugely inspiring and a beacon of positivity when life can be bleak. It surely can. And I'm glad I can, in my small way, help make lives better for the Rady kids and also provide a modicum of entertainment for the 6 or 7 people who enjoy my stuff. It pleases me to hear you say that, Aeronautic. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy it. Um, I also reached out to the former um, philanthropy director of philanthropy at Rady's. Um, she moved several years back, but I always keep her abreast of how things are going. So um, yeah, so good set. We actually had we had one $30 donation come in after the stream, so the final total was 48 something. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, hell of a year. Um, Looking forward to doing it all again next year. That was the 13th one of these I've done. So I've been doing it so 13 years now. Uh, the first one I did 13 years ago, I think I raised like $500. Um, so it's it's been and we had I think 39. I don't think we hit four. I think the late donation ended up being a solid 40 unique donors. So that's pretty damn cool. Also tells you how ridiculously generous the people who donate are on average. 40 people equaling 4,800. Um, so San Diego Gas and Electric, whom I buy electricity from, because I have no choice in the matter. That's who provides electricity here. It's kind of like cable. You got one choice. Oh, you don't like the company? Cool. You don't get cable, or you don't get electricity, or whatever the utility is. Um, so they sent me a survey this week, which I found kind of funny because what it was is basically look at these 4 advertisements and tell us what you think about them, how effective it is, and if it makes it seem like we care. They literally ask that. They're like, we just want to know if this makes it look like we actually care. I know that's not what they intended, but that's really how it comes off. Um, what what I found particularly interesting is most of their advertisements were just genuinely really bad, like poorly conceived and poorly written. Makes me wonder if they had ChatGPT write them. For example, the first one was a piece of ad copy that you might see in a magazine, um, but or in something they might email you. It's a picture, but it was like a wall of text, and I'm like, yeah, no one's gonna read that, because it was formatted in a way that you look at it and you go, whatever. It's just really, you want it to be quick. It's an advertisement. You want it to be quick. You want it to be punchy. You want it to grab someone's attention so that they, would you like to know more? Right? There is an art to this stuff. I'm not in advertising. So, but I am a writer. So I can at least judge it from a writing perspective. And the writing was just genuinely bad. Also, they were advertising that they were using AI in order to help detect fires to help keep us safe. And then they ask questions. Does that make you feel more safe? Does it make it seem like we care about your safety? And I'm thinking, no, because you're using AI. That's how far could your fingers possibly be from the pulse? That is toxic. Now, I would genuinely be surprised if they were literally using an LLM chatbot, if that's what they mean by we're using AI. They're probably using some custom uh, uh, program running an algorithm that's sorting and analyzing data in a very specific way to help predict fire hotspots and such like that. In the same manner that back when I was a children's, we referred to the algorithms or the lines of code that would govern the behavior of enemy combatants in video games. Like we'd be playing GoldenEye, and the bad guys would hide behind boxes or run away if you threw a grenade behind the box that they were hiding behind, or they'd rush you, or they'd flank you. And we would colloquially refer to that behavior as AI, artificial intelligence. And that's a completely different thing from, LLM chatbots, generative AI. So I imagine that what SGG&E is doing is not LLM chatbots. So don't call it AI. I'm sorry, it's not fair, but that terminology is poison now. A lot of folks, particularly me, you say you're using AI to do anything, that is a humongous red flag, and I am immediately poised to run in the other direction. They also had a 15-second commercial spot, which was too short to actually convey any meaningful information. Basically, all it said is, fires. They suck. We care. And that was about it. That was not the actual dialogue, but that was the general premise of this 15-second short. Basically, fires are a thing. You don't like fires because they burn your butt and they destroy your stuff. We care about you not getting your butt burned and your stuff getting destroyed. So we're doing something, implies the 15-second spot. And I'm like, I don't know how to convey everything you'd want to convey in 15 seconds. I appreciate you were restricted. You had a restrictive time limit, but that commercial sucks. However, out of the four, they did have one that I think was okay. It was basically a quick, another infographic looking one, but a quick punchy one or two lines that got the point across. And it's like, fires suck and we're doing things to keep fire from burning your butt and destroying your stuff. Scan this QR code to learn the stuff we're doing. And it's like, okay, that's better. Because I can read it at a glance. It's quick and punchy. It tells me what you're doing. And if I want more information, I could easily just click the link or scan the barcode. That's actually pretty good. But yeah, overall, I was rather underwhelmed. And one of my bits of feedback is like, hire someone to write your copy because this is genuinely not very well written at all. Also, don't say you're using AI. Nobody likes that. Nobody trusts that. except the people heavily well, nobody, of course, is a generalization, but generally speaking, the only people who are, you know, who sport wood over hearing AI are people who are heavily invested in it. So yeah. So I mentioned it was a rough week at work. I work for an education system. My sister does too. And I'm doing quite well for myself. But I was reminded once again this week that while things are looking up for me personally, that could all come crashing down in an instant through myriad avenues. Like, one of my kidneys could explode. I'm doing pretty well financially. I'm able to make rent and buy groceries and buy the occasional video game and put a little bit of money away for an actual retirement, something that 3 years ago I didn't think I'd ever have. I still might not, but as of right now, I am working on vesting for retirement, and I'm like a little under 2 years away from that. But my apartment could burn down. Horrible health concerns that could ruin me financially. Significant enough property damage, like if this apartment burns down, that would be devastating. I could also just up and get laid off at any moment, as one of my colleagues, at least one, I know there are more, but they haven't announced it yet, and I don't know who else got shit canned this week. Yeah, she was just up and fired immediately. No explanation, no warning, no lead in. They just turned off her account and laid her off immediately. I was able to email her and offer my condolences because I had her personal email, because she donated generously to the Extra Life charity event this weekend. Money that she might need. Well, actually, she makes a lot more than I do, so she's probably fine. But yeah, that's pretty horrible. So, and my sister's dealing with the same thing. A bunch of people got laid off where she works, and she luckily dodged that bullet and is still gainfully employed, as am I. But boy, that's some scary stuff, right? She was vested, so she has, as long as the university is able to honor its commitments in the future, she does have a pension. Um, if I get fired, if I get laid off now, or anytime in the next year and a half or so, I'm not vested yet. So I've also only been working, we vest after 5 years, but even vesting after 5 years, um, that's not much of a that's not a pension you could live off of. Um, well, unless I move to the middle of Wyoming, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, it's that's some scary stuff. It makes me want to hide. It makes me want to not put myself out there, uh, not do anything extraordinary. Uh, Last year, um, I was rated. We have performance reviews, and I was the one person on my team who was rated exceeds expectations, and that normally would come with a raise, but because of everything, the university is not doing raises right now. It's not hiring right now, and clearly, they're laying people off. Mostly contractors, but as we've seen, middle management. This person was my manager's boss. Um, so I am probably as safe as anyone could be. I work on the system that manages payroll and benefits. So that's very important. You don't want to get rid of the people working on that, because if you don't pay people the money you owe them, you could get sued. So it's really important that that works. But yeah, it's like I was in line for a raise last year and I didn't get it because, well, no one did, right? Um, Now I'm like, I don't want to work hard. I just want to keep my head down. I don't want to exceed expectations. I don't want to stick out. I don't want a raise. I'm making enough. I'm good. Don't give me a raise because I don't want to stand out on a spreadsheet. I don't want anyone scanning a spreadsheet and saying, oh, that's a lot of money. Let's get rid of that guy because we pay him a lot. We could just get rid of him and then hire someone else to do the same job for less, which is probably not the attitude you want your employees to have. But unavoidably, that's going to be the result. And I know I say this from a position of privilege of having a really good job. I know not everyone is for like the woman I'm talking about. She's now unemployed. Um, yeah, it's tough, scary time. You hard enough to get a job, you get laid off. It's still hard to get a job. Um, yeah, anything could change at any moment. Your kidneys could explode, your house could burn down, or your employer could just shit can you for no good reason, for no articulated reason. The general polite thing is to give 2 weeks notice when you quit a job. You don't have to do that. You can just walk away. But it's, generally considered to be polite to say, hey, I'm going to take another opportunity. Here's my 2 weeks notice. It's just a polite thing to do. So try and not leave people in a lurch. Now, if you're working for an abusive company, you may not care, and rightfully so. But it would be nice if organizations extended us the same courtesy. Like, if you're going to shit can us, uh, could you give us 2 weeks notice? That would be swell. So yeah, it's been a week. I've been exceptionally tired this week, and it's not because of the charity event. It's just been really stressful at work. It's also the end of the year. We have open enrollment right now, so everyone's doing changes um, to their benefits because all of the insurance vendors have new premiums this year. So we had to negotiate new rates, and of course they're all going up. But so we have to uh, redo. One of our vendors is divesting all of their non-Medicare plans to another vendor, so we have to create a new interface file, and that all has to work by the end of the year. And I was actually up till 10:30 or so Friday night, last night, working on that because that needs to get done. Um, yeah, it's just been oof. So yeah, it is a very, no matter how well things are going, I do, and things are going well for me. I do try to keep that stuff in perspective, that not everyone's as fortunate as I am, at least in this moment, and that stuff can come crashing down like that. So uh wish I wasn't dealing with that, and I wish no one else was either, but yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. So speaking of layoffs, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 6. Because Grand Theft Auto 6 it was just announced a couple days ago that it has been delayed. The release date of Grand Theft Auto 6 has been pushed back again. And as you might have noticed if you read the enthusiast press, this comes on the heels of a few dozen employees being laid off from Rockstar, from the some of the British and some of the Canadian employees. And you might think, well, that's weird. They fire a few dozen people and then they delay the game. Here's a thought. Maybe you'd be able to get your products out on time if you'd stop laying off your employees. But there's actually seemingly more to the story here. So back in 2018, it was reported, surprising no one, that Rockstar employees were under stupendous amounts of crunch, the kind of crunch that destroys a person. Sleeping at the office, uh, uh, you know, 80-hour work weeks, working weekends, that kind of crap. Um, and that unfortunately seems to be the industry standard a lot of times. And disgustingly, a lot of game companies say, will talk about crunch like it's a point of pride. Like, yeah, we chew up and spit out our employees. We work them to the bone. They're in the office from no morning to night. They have a water bottle next to their desk to pee in because they can't afford bathroom breaks. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, that's how dedicated they are. It's like, I don't think they're that dedicated. I think people just need a paycheck to live. You know, I mean, as much as I enjoy my job, and I enjoy where I work, and I enjoy the people I work with, can I be can I be honest? It's just us, right? If it weren't for the paycheck, I wouldn't do the work. I don't know if that says anything about me or not, but if I didn't need the paycheck to afford rent, which with the health insurance premiums, it's going up again. If I didn't need a paycheck to afford rent and food, things I need to literally survive, I wouldn't do the work. Much as I like the people I work with, I actually like the job. It's gratifying doing a lot of the stuff I do. But yeah, all said and done, if I didn't need to, I wouldn't. I just, make stupid YouTube videos and play video games. That's what I'd do. Um, so Rockstar, after this reporting back in 2018, Rockstar publicly made some promises. Don't know if they like contractually made them, but they did say that we hear you, we see you, we love you. And they're like, okay, we're going to stop crunching and then we're going to make sure that we accommodate people's needs and la di da di da. And then the pandemic started and they're like, we're totally working with our people here and we're allowing them to work remotely and all that good stuff. And then in 2024, Rockstar says, nope, back to the office so we can crunch you. And at the time, the IWGB, one of Britain's unions, criticized Rockstar for violating its promises. Again, I don't know if these were like legal promises or just lip service that they had paid. But the year before, 2023, well, very late in the year, December 2023, we saw the first trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. Something that we'd known had been in the works for a long time. I think they'd mentioned that 2018 they had officially started development. Interestingly, the same year that Crunch reporting came out. Yeah. So anyway, we got a trailer in December 2023. It releases in 2025. Then in May of 2025, they released another trailer and pushed it back to May 26. So this next May. Last month, it came out that Rockstar had fired 30 to 40 of its British and Canadian employees. Now, Rockstar had gone on record and said this was due to disclosure of confidential info. So 30 to 40 employees were like on Discord talking about stuff that they should not be talking about. That seems pretty high. Really? I could see one or two people you kind of, it's like, look, loose lips sink ships. You you can't be divulging trade secrets and stuff that you literally haven't signed an NDA for. But 30 to 40? Huh. Anyway, that's what Rockstar said. Disclosure of confidential info is why they laid off 30 to 40 people. Take-Two itself, the parent company, said they were fired for gross misconduct, which I suppose could include talking about stuff that they're not supposed to talk about, though that's an odd way to phrase it. But if it doesn't mean that, then I also do find it then I do find it really unlikely that 30 to 40 people all at once were fired for gross misconduct. Really? Really? That does not pass the smell test. I don't believe it. I could be wrong, but yeah, that doesn't seem likely. The IWGB, the union I talked about, claimed that it was not confidential info leaks, it was not gross misconduct, it was union busting. Because they had been, employees for Rockstar had been organizing. So, at the very least, Rockstar, through Crunch, which has been going on for 7 years at least, probably all of Rockstar's history, Rockstar at the very least created an environment that made at least some of its employees feel that it was in their best interest to unionize, to organize, so that they're not taken advantage of and or abused. And then 30 to 40 of them were laid off. Well, so protests were organized, and they were conducted on November 6th outside of Rockstar North and Take-Two's Edinburgh and London offices. And then later that day, the game was delayed to November of next year. Weird timing. So, game delays are a thing, you know, even in completely healthy companies. But there's probably some best practices one could engage in to avoid game delays that nobody wants, particularly investors. And they would be: stop laying off your employees, stop mistreating your employees, stop investing billions of dollars into AI. I don't know. Very hard to make a game if you don't have any employees to make it. So, when I first read this news, my immediate reaction, as you may have seen saw on social media, was, this doesn't surprise me in the least because we've seen no gameplay of Grand Theft Auto 6. We've seen 2 trailers, and they are made of cutscenes. In-engine? Maybe. Running on actual hardware? Maybe. Probably not. Maybe. If there's any gameplay in there, it's very heavily choreographed and staged, probably with different camera angles. But rule of thumb, if a major video game company is releasing a big budget, wide release video game, and they say it's coming out in 6 months, but we have not seen any actual gameplay yet, it's probably not coming out in 6 months. So it did not surprise me when Grand Theft Auto was delayed another 6 months. Look at, as an example, look at Capcom's Pragmata. Now, that was originally announced back in June of 2020 for a 2022 release date. Now, no gameplay, but they also weren't saying it was coming out in 6 months. They were saying, this is 2 years off. You know, we're going to be working on this for a while. It's something we got in development. It's got a ghost cat in it. Look forward to that. Where the hell's the ghost cat, Capcom? Because I've seen that we've since seen gameplay from last June. People have played it. I ain't seen the ghost cat. Where's the ghost cat? Yeah, the little girl backpack, the little backpack girl. She's adorable. Where's the ghost cat? I demand ghost cat. You can't show ghost cat and then take ghost cat away. How dare you? Anyway, so the next year in January 21, the game was delayed to 2023. In June of 2023, it was delayed indefinitely, which really shouldn't have surprised anyone because we'd seen a couple trailers up to that point and zero gameplay. No one had any, not even gameplay that mimics what you would even do in the game. Didn't even have any idea of what the genre of the game was, or rather, yeah, the type of gameplay that we could expect. Is it an RPG? Is it a shooter? Is it a dating sim? Who the hell knows? June 2025, we get another trailer, and it says it's going to release in 2026. But now, we've actually got gameplay. Not only gameplay, but a bunch of people have actually played the game in very controlled situations, but there's an actual game. We've seen it. That doesn't mean it will come out in 2026. It just means it could. You know, now that we've seen gameplay, there's a decent chance that it could actually come out in 2026. And they haven't specified, so far as I recall, when in 2026. But as a rule of thumb, not always going to work this way, but as a rule of thumb, if the game has a release date that's in the next 6 months or so, but we haven't seen any actual gameplay, it's almost certainly not coming out in the next 6 months or so. Once you actually see the game, then maybe, if the stars align, it will actually be out in the next 6 months or so. Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter Wilds is doing a festival right now. 4 or 5 times a year, starting in Wilds. And I don't recall them actually doing this in Rise. I didn't play Sunbreak, but I don't recall them doing a festival in Rise. But World and Iceborne, if you consider them different games, and now Wilds, have had seasonal festivals. And normally, every week you have a list of tasks that you can do for some extra items. Like, sometime in the next week, defeat this monster and you'll get some extra armor spheres. That kind of thing. But during the festival, those update daily. As I mentioned, after the Extra Life charity event ended, I did my dailies before going to bed. So I didn't miss them, right? Gotta get those hard armor spheres. Gotta get my, whatever that certificate that gives me 10 free talismans. I still have not got my God Roll talisman. I really want one that has, defense and divine blessing on it, and some slots. Maybe an attack skill too. Oh, that would be lovely. It's like a 1 in 16,000 chance or whatever, but I have a couple decent talismans. Today, I was playing Trails Remake last night, so I didn't do my dailies yesterday. I was like, I'll do them tomorrow, like 3:30 or so, and then wait for, because it updates at 5 o'clock, and then I'll do the new dailies after 5. Hour and a half is plenty of time to, complete whatever the dailies are. And then I'll do the new batch of dailies after 5. So, this afternoon I did, I worked out, finished working out, took a shower. It's like 3:45. So I log into the game, I get my dailies, and I'm like, oh, I can do that in a double 9-star, 5-star Arkveld tempered super thing and Mitsune or whatever the hell I was doing. Actually, I think it was Mitsu and Ufduna. It doesn't matter. But I actually takes me half an hour to put down these 2 9-star really tough monsters. And what I learned is Capcom does not honor American time changes. So the dailies now update at 4 thanks to daylight savings here in the States. So even though I had a really good, impressive hunt that you would have just, clapped if you saw how awesome my elite monster hunter skills were, I didn't get shit for them because I was late, and the whole thing refreshed at 4 o'clock instead of 5, because apparently Japan just doesn't do that stupid time change thing. Which, good for them. I I applaud that. I respect that, but god damn it, I missed out on my talisman ticket that gives me 10 free talismans. I could have got the god roll. That could have been the one. Hey, Chicago. Oh well. It's not the biggest deal. It's a deal. And I have anger problems, so I am kind of surly about it, but it's not the biggest deal. Chaos, how do? Um man. I'm terrible at time attack stuff. Like there's currently a beat the nude or the flame octopus. Yeah. If you can beat him in under 14 minutes, you get a real cool talisman. It's like I can't. I can beat him under 14. No. No. I'm bad at time attacks. I'm not good at doing stuff efficiently. You've seen me play video games. I take forever to play video games. Um so let's to close out the show with, let's talk about the remake of Trails from the Crypt. Why do I keep calling it Trails from the Crypt? Trails in the Sky remake, because I've continued to play that throughout the week, and I've played through more of the game now. I'm in Rouen. Chloe is now in my party, and we're coming up on the Genis Academy bit pretty quick. So that's about where I am. So a third of the way or so through that chapter. It's early days yet. I'm really only like 20% of the way through the game, I guess. But I would be comfortable saying between Sky First Chapter, the original, and Sky Remake, which one do I think is more successful? Which one do I think is the better game? Right now, and this could change, because again, I haven't finished Remake yet. Right now, my chips are on the original, which is interesting because Sky Remake does most things better. It has so many wonderful quality of life improvements. Quality of life improvements that haven't even been introduced into the series by Cold Steel 2 yet. So I'm pretty sure I'm getting a sneak peek at wonderful things to come. My favorite quality of life improvement that I would imagine is actually introduced, probably not unique to Sky Remake. I would imagine it's introduced in the series at some point, maybe in Reverie, maybe in Daybreak. But in the original Sky, when you picked up an item out of a treasure chest, it would say Blamsburger. And you're like, hey, I got a Blamsburger. What is that? And then you would have to remember to open the menu and go through your items and weapons and armor and key items and quartz to try and find Blamsburger if you could remember what the hell it was called. Because a lot of times you get you get an item and then you're stuck in a 20-minute cutscene or a 40-minute cutscene the way I play through them. And then you're like, wait, did I get a thing? What was it called? Blamsburger? What even is that? Because you'd have no idea even what type of item it was, let alone what the Blamsperger did. Is it a weapon? Is it a quartz? Oh, okay, it's a quartz. What does it do? Right? You'd have to go find it and look. In later games, I think in at least like Crossbell, they would at least put the, or maybe as early as the second chapter, I honestly don't remember, but eventually they would put the icon of the type of item that you just picked up. So it'd say Blamsperger, but it would have the icon of a quartz. And you'd say, oh, that's a water quartz. Okay. Or, oh, that's specifically an orbital gun weapon. Or, oh, that's specifically an accessory, or that's shoes. Right? In not Cold Steel, Sky Remake, you get the name Blamsperger, you get the icon showing you what type of thing it is, but then you also, on the screen, when you pick it up, you get the item description so you know what the hell it is and what it does. Oh, that is lovely. I love that. That is a wonderful, wonderful change. That is so much less frustrating. Uh, it's not perfect. There's a few, there are a few little quirks. For example, if you are upgrading items, which is a neat little mechanic, so if you get a new sword or something, you can go, you buy it from the, you buy your new sword from the weapons place, and then you walk your ass over to the Orbital factory, and you might be able to use U material or some other items to upgrade that sword, or accessory, or quartz, or whatever. The problem is you can only see how that upgrade affects the lead party member. I haven't tested this thoroughly, but that's what it seems to be the case. Instead of being able to see how it would affect any of the characters in your party, it seems to only affect the party leader, which is annoying. Now that said, when you pick new items from the shop, it actually shows all the characters in your party. So if you're looking at new armor or something, you can actually see how it affects all the different characters in your party, which is great. Helpful feature, says Chaos. Yes, it absolutely is. So not perfect, but a lot of excellent quality of life improvements. When I first started playing the game, I was not aware that there was a active battle component. You smack the enemies around on the screen in real time, and then you start the turn-based battling. At first, I was like, I don't know about that. I'm old. I like my RPGs turn-based. I don't know how to feel about this, but you know, as I played it throughout the night, I started understanding why they were doing that and the strategy behind beating the snot out of enemies in real time before starting the turn-based battle. And really what it is it's just an evolution of the whole sneak up behind an enemy and smack it on the ass to get a party advantage. This is just a more interesting, mechanically deep evolution of that system. You could just walk up to something and start a command battle, or you can jump into the fray, start smacking things around, do some perfect dodges, do your super, use some crafts, and try to smack something enough to get a party advantage to start off your battle, not only with said party advantage, but a plethora of extra little experience multipliers. Because if you do a perfect dodge in the real-time thing, that's like an extra 0.2% multiplier for your EXP at the end of the battle. So you could be in a rush and go straight to command battle, or you could engage with the system and get some advantages and some rewards. So I ended up actually quite liking that. Chicago says, would Trails in Sky FC remake be a good starting chapter for a person trying to get into the series? Would it be better to start with the original? I think that depends on the person. Uh, Generally speaking, if you're my age and you can really appreciate a handheld game from over 20 years ago, because let's not kid ourselves, the original Sky is old and clunky, still very fun, still very charming, but it's also the first game in the series, and it doesn't have a lot of the quality of life improvements that even were introduced a couple of games later. If you're a younger gamer, like in your 20s or younger, you might have a tough time actually engaging with that game. On the other hand, there's at this point no guarantee that there's going to be a remake of second chapter or the third or Crossbell. Um, I think any modern gamer, most modern gamers can swing with Cold Steel, but I think Sky and Crossbell are probably a bit too old for many of the younger generation of gamers. So I think if we are actually getting I think it would be awkward for a younger gamer to play Sky Remake and then go to the original second chapter. I don't know how well that would work. So it kind of depends on the person, but so far I think Sky Remake is a very fun game. But let me get into why I think that the original is better, at least from an American perspective. Um, I don't think the remake localization is as strong as the localization that was done for Sky First Chapter. In fact, I think it's somewhat weak. I don't think the writing's as good. Notably so. It's actually a little stilted, a little awkward. A lot of the phrasings are weird. The word usage cannot flow properly. Like too many instances of the same word in a sentence when they could have used another word to make it sound better. I mean, people do talk that way, but it's scripted. There's a script. There's a reason dialogue sounds great in, well, movies or whatever that are actually scripted well. Um, for as an example, the only one that comes to mind is one of the most recent things that stuck out to me. When Chloe casts Blue Diamond, Aqua Burst, one of the big water attack arts, her her voiced line of dialogue is swallow it all, which is weird. That's a weird thing to say. I mean, I think I get what I don't know what the original line is, but I think the idea behind it was I'm encasing you in a water ball. Go ahead and suck that into your lungs and drown. I, I think that's what she's going for, but she says swallow it all, and I'm like, that's just kind of weird, Chloe. Why would you? I mean, you'd think the enemies would be like, okay, you know what? Here's some Sepith. You've made it weird now, and I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just gonna go hang out by the orbital lamp. You can have my Sepith, and you made it weird, Chloe. You swallow it all, really? Okay, I'm just uncomfortable with this now. I'm gonna vamoose. Um, that's one that really sticks out because it was something that I ran into today because Chloe was just added to the party and um yeah, I did that. She's like, swallow it all. I'm like, what? The water? The eh, hmm. I hmm. I mean, it could be worse. Um. Also, this is it. One presentation issue I'm having a problem with. is there's a lot more voiced dialogue in this game, of course, as we would expect. But what is happening with a surprising amount of frequency is you would expect all the major cutscenes to be fully voiced, and they are. And some of the minor cutscenes, particularly involving major characters like Matron Teresa, the lady who runs the orphanage in near Minoria Village, right? You would expect that stuff to be voiced too, but the regular random NPC people who are just hanging around town, it's like, boy, it's a nice day in it, right? You don't expect everyone to be voiced there. Those little conversations, that's not voiced. That's fine. Where the presentation is running into a problem is some of the lesser cutscenes involving some of the more minor characters like Matron Teresa are only voiced from one side. So Matron Teresa will say, in voiced, Estelle, Joshua, thanks for coming to the visiting the orphanage and not killing Clem. That shows a lot of restraint. Kudos to you both. Daddy Cassius raised you well. And then Estelle responds, you know my father, but her voice, she's not voiced. It's just a text bubble. And then Matron Teresa responds fully voiced, yes, I know your daddy, biblically. And then Joshua and Estelle both respond, only in text bubbles. Ew. This is not a real conversation. That I've made that up. But this happens throughout the game, where half of a cutscene will be voiced, half of the not. Well, that happens too. So you will have a cutscene that starts fully voiced and then just stops being voiced. You have other cutscenes where one of the characters is voiced and the other isn't, and that, your mileage may vary. To me, that is exceptionally distracting. For me, if you can't voice every character in a given cutscene, don't voice any character in that cutscene. If you can't voice all of the lines of dialogue in a cutscene, don't voice anything in the cutscene, because for me anyway, again, your mileage may vary, it's way too distracting to have some characters not be voiced, or for the voiceovers to just stop in the middle of the cutscene. I don't know if that's a scheduling issue. They just couldn't get the Estelle and Joshua actors in the booth. Maybe they ran out of money. Maybe they ran out of time. They just couldn't get them there for those dialogue bits where they came in late and the actors were no longer available. But they did have the actor for Matron Teresa, so they recorded her. You don't. That's really distracting and not a problem in the original. So while I think mechanically the remake mops the floor with the original, as you would expect. I mean, that's no slight to the original. There's more than 20 years between the two games. 20 years of learning and system refinements over 2 decades. The game is mechanically much more dense, much more interesting. And there's so many wonderful quality of life inclusions in the remake. It makes it a lot easier to play. However, for me, the issues with the presentation, the translated script, and the which characters are acted are fully voiced and when, and also some of the vocal performances, because oh my goodness, the vocal performances are all over the map. Most of them are at least fine. Like, I don't think there's anything like ear-splittingly bad. There's nothing that would make a compilation of, worst delivered lines in video games in video game history, right? None of that. No, what's his name, Titus or whoever, laugh, ah ha ha ha, from Final Fantasy X, or Dante, you were supposed to give my heart darkness light, or fill my dark heart with light, or something like it from one of the Devil May Cry games that you see in all the montages, right? Nothing really that bad. Although, one of the Ravens, the gang of hoodlums in Ruan City, he has a line where I think Agate comes in and starts smacking the snot out of all of them, and he, out of fear, says, the line is "eek," an exclamation of shock and terror. For some reason, the vocal director allowed the actor to deliver that line as literally "eek." He literally says "eek." No. No. Now, maybe that was done as a lark. Maybe they just thought that was really funny. And they're like, okay, that's just too hilarious not to leave in. Maybe, but there's all kinds of stuff like that. And there's also just some really bad audio engineering. Chloe has a bunch of, particularly when she's talking about the burned down orphanage, she has a bunch of lines where she's choking up and she's getting very emotionally raw in her vocal delivery, and her voice is catching and hitching in her throat. Um, she's way too close to the goddamn mic. She's frying the mic with that stuff. They needed to either re-record it or do some audio engineering magic, because it's really obnoxious sounding. Maybe the actor was trying to do that performance, and they were like, "Hey, can you get closer to the mic?" And then she did, and it's too much. She's frying. The levels are clipping. It's really bad. Um, it's not terrible, and there are some genuinely really great performances. The dude who's playing Olivier, who I'm pretty sure is the same guy who's doing the voice in Cold Steel, um, is doing a fantastic performance. It's a genuinely good performance. And if it is the same guy, sounds like the same guy. I'm not sure if he's just been doing the character for a decade and he's gotten a lot better at it, or if that's just the difference between Prince Olivert and Olivier Lenheim. I'm not quite sure yet, but that's a really great performance. Let's see who else is really good. Gene, the bracer, the guy who runs the bracer outfit, bracer building in Rouen. He's actually surprisingly good. It's a small bit part, but he puts a lot of personality into it. Sherazard is just kind of all over the map. Usually she's perfectly fine. A lot of her lines, I was like, oh shit, that was really well delivered. Kudos to the actor. And then some of them are not good. Estelle is kind of meh. She's fine. Joshua's mostly fine. Yeah, so most of the actual performances are just like fine. They're adequate. They're not bad. There's a couple that stand out as there's a couple individual lines that stand out as bad, but most of the performances are at least digestible. But there are some performances in this game that are just like, damn, that's actually a really solid performance. The worst voice acting, says Chaos, has to be Arc-Rise Fantasia. Haven't played it, so. Let's see, what are we talking about? Chicago says, I'm playing Persona 3 Portable and enjoying it, probably around your age. Okay. I do prefer quality of life updates and better graphics, but not opposed to older games. Yeah, yeah, I mean, you've seen my stream. If you were around 5 years ago, pick up my stream, or just there might be a demo of it. Give it a try, and if it clicks, it clicks. If not, the remake is definitely not bad. I'm playing it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I just find I think the presentation could have been better. I also think the script could have been better because it's it's not bad. It's just not good. It's a little awkward. It feels like it was translated by people who English is maybe their third language, instead of their second. Professional translation, I could not do any better, but I've seen better in Sky First Chapter. So, let's see. Pretty sure Jared, hello, says it's very weak. I'm pretty sure they used AI for some stuff. Oh, well, that's disappointing to hear. Chicago says, my big hesitation, it's a long series. I also take a very long time to beat a game. Oh, yeah, me too. Luckily, most of the older games can be had for like 20, 30 bucks. Maybe even less. So, also they're not as long as I make them out to be unless you insist on doing every side quest and listening to every piece of dialogue. You'll probably get through them a lot faster than me. Chicago says that is immersion breaking. I can understand not always having characters being voiced, but not one being voiced and the other not. Yeah, some of the Yakuza games have done that before too. Um, I, I don't know that I've ever seen one character being voiced and another not being voiced in the same cutscene, but I have seen cutscenes like start being voiced and then just stop. I don't recall if I've ever seen the other one, but yeah, it is not ideal. Um, but the game is very pretty, and it is particularly if what is kind of magical about the game, but only if you've played Sky First Chapter, is wandering around the world in 3D because the original Sky was shot from a three-quarter angle bird's eye view. Um, so you're always looking straight down at the ground. You couldn't look out across the landscape. And it's really cool coming down off the Krone Pass and getting out of the mountain and then looking across the sea and seeing seeing Minoria Village and then seeing the lighthouse over on the side and then seeing Rouen and the bridge that's over there and then looking and seeing one of the Tetrasolic towers and stuff, or standing, you can see across the landscape. It's like you get a better sense of how everything is put together, and you can walk all the way to Rouen and look back and like, oh, there's the windmill at Minoria Village and there's the lighthouse. That is that just tickles me. That's really fun, and they do a really nice job of translating the characters into full 3D, and they look very handsome. Um, there are some artifacts of the original game which I think if you didn't play the original game do come across as kind of odd, like the constantly repeating character models. They're just they're very good looking 3D renditions of the original sprites, but they only had so many sprites and they're matching them one to one so far as I can tell. So you'll see a lot of the same people around, which is a little off-putting, particularly when you have a much more uh, vibrant presentation of the world that you're inhabiting. But they are also adding new NPCs, which have a little bit of a more unique look to them, and are also arranged in interesting little vignettes. They'll be like pointing at stuff, or or blowing bubbles, or animatedly talking to each other. You look at some NPCs that they don't have any dialogue. You can't talk to them. They're just props, but they tell a little story of people standing there doing something. Like, there's this kid on top of the stairs and he's like, come on, to another kid at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, it's just, it helps it to feel a little bit more alive, because another thing that stands out, particularly if you haven't played the original, is a lot of the characters are constantly standing in one place. Like if you go into a house, you will see this one character there all the time standing there staring at their bookshelf. And it's like, what are you doing? Why are you always standing in the corner? That's so weird. And the reason is because that's just where that character sprite lived in the original game. And it didn't come off as awkward in the chibi 2D sprite world of the original. It was just, oh, that guy's probably reading a book or, browsing the contents of the shelf or looking out the window or doing something, right? Um, but in the modern remake, the characters are all seem to be standing in the same places that they were. So there's a lot. You end up with a lot of characters who are just awkwardly standing against the wall, like they've been bad, and someone put them in the corner. you know. Um, but overall, I am with a couple presentation caveats. I am quite enjoying my time with the game, and I have found it a particularly enjoyable way to unwind in the evening after some uh, horrendously stressful days at work. It's for me, it's a very comfort food kind of gaming. So I am really enjoying it. I hope that my evaluation didn't come across as like too negative or anything. I really am enjoying the game and appreciating a lot of the updates to the presentation and the game mechanics. So far as I've noticed, there's no differences to the story, or I haven't noticed any new like bracer side quests or new areas, and I'm not really expecting any. Um, so although they are able to mine a bit more mileage out of character expressions, like in the original game, someone will say something, and then like Joshua will dot dot dot, and it's like, okay, he had nothing to add. What does that mean? But in the modern remake, someone will talk about something, and then the camera will cut to Joshua, and he will, you'll see his eyes kind of look down, like he's thinking, like that triggered something, and he knows more than he's comfortable talking about. It just play that kind of storytelling plays a lot. It is much more readable in the more modern presentation. Um, at least I think I could definitely be colored by I know what the plot is now and I know what Joshua's thinking about. you know, but I think the full 3D and the dynamic camera I think is doing a nice job of accommodating uh, um, and supporting the storytelling. Even if I feel that the dub script is or the English translation is not as strong, not bad by any means, but definitely nowhere near as strong as the original Trails FC. So, them's my very important thoughts, and you should be privileged to have been regaled with them. and tomorrow we will resume whatever the hell we were doing in Cold Steel 2. I think we're still uh, running around the shrines, getting some Zamorian ore and looking for gnomes. Because if you're gonna pronounce it Goonosis, I'm going to pronounce it Gnome. Anyway, I hope you're all gainfully employed and not worried about being laid off, and your insurance premiums, if you have insurance, they're not like horrifically skyrocketing. Um, the Pretzel Farm second quest is not in the original. There are several Vita quests not in the original. And I do. Okay, so there might be some the special. What was it? The Evo version that added a couple things. Those might end up being in the um The remake. Okay, I don't. Hmm. I don't recall any of the Pretzel Farm quests being unique, but it has been five some years since I played the original. So anyway, thanks all for hanging out. Hope you had a good time, and hope to see you tomorrow for some Cold Steel 2 goodness. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.